All right, ladies and gentlemen, anglers, welcome back to the Riff. Every year, I know that most of us look forward to an event every late June, early July for our salmon fly hatch, Pteronarcis californicus. But there's also another hatch that takes place every year, and it's the Tazmaniacs australicus. Many of you don't know about this hatch, but it's a group of mates who come in every summer and spend about 6 weeks here chasing our fish and chasing our women. So I'd like to introduce to you the Tazmaniacs. Mm-hmm. Gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Welcome.
We've got Michael, Nick, David, Randall, and Peter Hayes. I put Peter Hayes in there because it's the only name I could pronounce. So I'm just going to go around the table here. We're going to talk to these boys. We're going to find out why they're here and why they come each year and why they leave their beautiful hometown in Tasmania to be here with us in Ennis, Montana. So who'd like to take this first round?
I can start.
Peter?
Let's go anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise it is.
It's a good question, Keith. I think we first came here, Randall, in 2008.
Yes.
Which must be 10 and
quite a while
16 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've been coming back every other year since, sometime until COVID came. And for me, I'm a fishing guide, so I work hard in summer, and you know about that. Perhaps, certainly Wendy knows about that.
Thanks.
And so our winter's cold and, not so flash, and this is a busman's holiday for me. So I like fishing with dry flies, I like running water, and mostly our fishing at home is a still water sort of lake sight fishery, albeit dry fly, brown trout, sight fishing. It's nice to come to running water. I can't imagine a better place than the Madison Valley. The fish are eager. There's lots of them. They eat dry flies, cast on cane rods with nice loops. And there's a fishing culture here that I've never found anywhere else in the world. And I like that. I like the fact that you look down the street, you see lots and lots of people wearing waders, cars with rod tubes, boats on the back. It's just, the fishing culture is like nowhere else I have ever been. And if I've got a holiday, I want to immerse myself in that.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we do have quite a fishing culture here, and it's funny, having come here for so many years and lived here for so many years, I've become used to it, but I imagine coming from someplace else, it's pretty impressive, the volume of anglers we have here.
And maybe, Keith, if I could finish with this, the weather is stable. So bang for buck, if you're going to spend holiday time and money, for 4 weeks or 6 weeks, you can come here and fish every day. Like guaranteed, the weather's more or less exactly the same. At our place, if you came for a month, good luck.
You might get 3 days of fishing in?
Yeah, well, you get 2 good days a week, you get a couple of shoulder days a week, and you get a couple of days a week where you can't fish. Whereas here, that doesn't happen. So for me, bang for buck, it's a winner.
Yeah.
And our buck's half your buck, let me tell you.
Yeah, I know. So that's a big bang. Anybody else?
Yeah. So I've been coming here, my name's Randall, I've been coming here since 2008 with Peter, and basically I'm a bit more elderly, and so I'm a stillwater fisherman. We have a lot of stillwater fishing in Tasmania, and we've become quite knowledgeable at it. So we're amazed when we come here to these lakes, and we started off fishing primarily Hebden Lake, and then we found Ennis Lake, which we don't talk about, away from Ennis.
Well, I don't know. You might be talking about, because you first came 1 and then 2, and now there's 5, and I think there's another guy coming. So you guys might be talking about it too much.
Oh, yeah. But they can't do it, most of them anyway. So you can't do it with cane rod, and you've got to have certain skills. You've got to understand stillwater fishing, which we know a little bit about, and there's not many people here fish it. The first time I came, I rang up Joe's shop, and I said I wanted a guide for a couple of days to Ennis Lake. And they said, oh, yes. So I booked 2 days. And when I got here, they said, no, we can't take you to Ennis Lake. There's no fishing there. You won't catch any fish. Anyway, we had 1 day in the Madison. They twisted my arm, which I enjoyed. Then I went to Ennis Lake, and I had the most fabulous day. And they saw the potential that So that was really good. But people here generally seem to want big bags, where we're happy with 1 or 2 or 3 very good quality fish, which we get. I think also for me, I like the big sky. I like the cleanliness of the river. I like driving up the valley in the morning, sometimes when I'm going to Hebden, and it's a big, wide open, big sky. Yeah. And I love it. And I like the basically stable weather, more stable than we are. And I love the community. I think you've got a wonderful community. And Ennis is a cool little town with 950 odd people, but it seems like a lot bigger when you see what the supermarket's done and everything growing. So I'm very happy to keep coming back here. And you're a beautiful lot of people. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Well said. Well said. I'd agree with that, Randall, and what Pete said as well. For me, it is nice to get out of Tasmania in winter, but to come away with some mates and spend some really good time, good quality time with mates. But the thing I think that's impressed me most is the health of the rivers. Not used to seeing rivers in such a fine state, And I like the entomology, I like the insects, and I'm always turning over rocks here, and it's really lovely to see so many bugs in the water. Mm-hmm.
And how do our bugs differ from yours?
Well, we have the same, of course. The caddis, probably the quantity. They're just vast numbers, vast more than we have.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's nice. Nice to hear for us. Do you guys see? Are you seeing golden stones, and are you seeing stonefly species down where you are?
We have some stonefly, but nothing like you. Nothing like the stonefly hatches that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a big stonefly that comes off usually in January. It's a black and red one, but it's not part of the. It's not part of the. It's not part of the fishery. It's just an adjunct. No. So we just don't have the quantity of that. We have big mayfly hatches in our highlands. Yeah, but again, they're diminished by the quantity of the fly life here from such a healthy system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you talk about the cleanliness. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I guess you're at the top of the tree here in terms of, you're up in the headwaters of the river system. So all around the world where I fish, there's a lot of pressure on the water from irrigation and power requirements as well. And of course, the world has to eat. So farmers are requiring more and more water. So water extraction is a big problem in the other places that I fish. New Zealand and UK.
Yeah. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, well, I might be a bit of an outsider in the group here. I'm a mainlander from mainland Australia, southeast Australia. We have some really nice stream fisheries there, but I visit these guys in Tasmania, so they've been my mates for probably 15, close to 20 years. I visit them down there, and I've moved to New Zealand, so I've got a pretty good fishery there, obviously. That's pretty well renowned, but I'd rate the fishing here at least that, if not more, than New Zealand, because sure, the fish in New Zealand are big, but the rivers tend to have low fish populations, so people tend to be secretive or look jealously or guardedly at other anglers. So for me here, there can be 20 cars at a bridge and there's room for everyone, and everyone just mixes in, and there's plenty of good fishing to be had. And like David, I love the hatches and dry fly action and hatch charts and that sort of thing. So that's beautiful to have that here to be a part of. And as well as that, for me, the books and the whole culture. I grew up reading Fly Fisherman magazine and Fly Rod and Reel, American Angler in Australia as a teenager, and to actually experience those fisheries, having read about them for years and seeing that they are what they say they are. I was here in 2002. I lived for a year in the mid-Atlantic in Maryland and fished in the east a bit, and had one trip out west that was astonishing in 2002. And it's wonderful to come back to a fishery that I think is as good now, albeit small sample size of a couple of weeks, but to me it's as good now as it was back then. So all of that coming together, and the people make it better, not worse.
Yeah. Yeah, the people here don't suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a good group of folks here.
Yeah.
And you, sir? What brings you here?
Mike Stevens. I've got a fly shop in Australia, and it amazes me when you see a hatch report or a report from a fly shop here. There's 3 fly shops in Ennis at least. There's a whole bunch around. There's only 1,000 people. We're in a country of 25 million, I think, and we have 2 serious fly shops in the whole of the country. And I've got one of them. I might be number 1 or I might be number 2. I'm not sure. But
So you're either the wealthiest or the poorest man in Tasmania.
I'm the luckiest, I think.
The luckiest.
You know, and great coming here with great mates and listening to their music. But I think really we can escape winter. So Northern Hemisphere versus Southern Hemisphere. So we get endless summers if we come here. That's a pretty exciting thing to be able to do. You know, my real love is stream fishing, and there's just endless amount of streams around here. So you could base yourself on the Madison, but we fished gibbons yesterday after being chased off the top of the Madison by law enforcement officers, which is an interesting story in itself. But they knew we were just bozo Tasmanians, and anyway, they had a bit of a chat to us, and off we went. So we see lots of boats. We wake up in the morning. We're in a cabin that looks over the bridge that goes over the Madison coming into Ennis. We see boats going up there every day. There's countless numbers of people on the river, and it doesn't seem to make any difference to the fishing. So reliable fishing is, you know, really important, and you know, I really love that. So there's plenty of fishing around here. You can, as Peter said, you can fish every day. So if the weather's no good in some area, you can go to somewhere else. But you can fish during the day and come back to the cabin at the end of the night and or the end of the day and have a beer, or go to the gravel bar, or go to any of the bars around town. And everyone just embraces fly fishing like nowhere I've ever seen.
So true. It's so true. All right, I'm going to circle back. There's something that came up for, I think each of you said it in one way or another. You've mentioned that there are many, many anglers on the river, and it doesn't seem to make a difference for the fish and the fishing.
You know, you guys have got 4,500 fish a mile. We did the maths in the car the other day, and, you know, I'm only a fishing guide, so my mates did the maths. And like that's a fish every half a metre. So every half a yard, you got a fish. Like that's a lot of fish. I know the river's wide, right? But every half a yard there's a fish. I don't think it's a problem. We can drive down the road. Driving down the road to Hebgen with Randall yesterday, I looked across to see 5 boats coming down. One of them had a fish on. Now, is that just luck, or you know, every car does every car see someone with a fish on? Like, you've got plenty of fish.
Oh, yeah.
I think, too, some of your fish are used to angling pressure.
Absolutely.
So, you know, I'm sure they can get caught more than once.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem. If you think it's a problem, get better at casting, get better at mending line, use smaller flies, you know, try harder.
Randall and I did a float with Joe the other day, and as we were putting in, there were some newbies in a float boat, and they were getting instruction from the guide for the day. Pretty sure these people had never fished in their life before, and certainly never fly fished. And old mate was practising out the back of the boat while his wife was in the front. And at the ramp, before they'd even drifted 5 metres, he's hooked up to a fish. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, that does. I'm a guide at home. I've been a guide for 30 years. It doesn't happen at home like that. If you catch a couple of fish a day, you've done really well. And you want to be a reasonable good angler, or have a bloody good guide. You know, here we see people on the river can't even cast and they're hooked up to fish. You've got plenty of fish. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
You need some ability.
And great stores. You know, I've been really impressed. I was here in 2017 and back this year, and really impressed with the way the stores have progressed. And you look at Ennis, I mean, they're just fantastic stores. All around, everywhere you go, there's a tackle store. They're really well stocked, good knowledge, very helpful, not worried about sending you anywhere. Maybe it's because we're Aussies and we're not coming back, but, you know, they've been absolutely outstanding. And that community that you see for every person in every business. Their love and their embracing of trout fishing in a place like this is extraordinary.
Thank you.
I can understand the pressure on the river. What is amazing for us is the richness of the river. Our rivers are basically barren in comparison. Because it comes out of Yellowstone National Park, the Madison, for example, full of calcium carbonate, which is a wonderful environment for every bug in the world. Fish get fat, and there's lots of them, and they're much tamer than our fish. Our fish are much wilder. But I've been following Joe Snyder for the last 15 years, and I know he's been pushing to have it capped again with a couple of other people to cap the number of boat movements on the river. And it's a hard one because, obviously he's been here and got a head start. But, this amount of licences on the river must be very challenging for locals.
So one of the things I see, Keith, too, so we don't have native trout in Australia. So all our trout species, or two, rainbow and brown trout, and brook trout, I guess, introduced to Australia, which started in about 1864. Yesterday, when we went to the Gibbons, we caught brook trout, cutthroat trout, rainbow trout, and the brown trout that we're used to. So it's pretty exciting to fish for native fish and native trout in their own environment because we don't do that.
And the grayling the other day. They were
Oh,
cool
grayling.
really cool little
Whitefish.
Yeah.
We've caught one whitefish. That's my quest, is to
Right?
catch a whitefish, That's the pinnacle for me.
Thank you.
And cherish them, They're, don't squeeze them and throw them in the river. They're beautiful,
No, that's
Measure of health and everything.
exactly. And that's our crown jewel native fish is the whitefish. No, I'm a huge fan of the whitefish, and that was when I went down to South America. And they have the perca down there, which they consider more of a trash fish, if you will. But I was all I wanted to do was catch a perca. I wanted to catch one of their local fish, and they didn't understand that. What do you want to go catch perca for? I said, because if you're a fish, I can catch trout anywhere. Catch trout at home in my backyard.
Yeah.
There is a respect for the resource here that that we don't have. We don't respect the river system the way you do. I haven't seen any rubbish. I haven't seen any rubbish, in all of the inlets and outlets through here as well. Tremendous.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, guys. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you guys being here. I look forward to seeing y'all next year.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
How could you not want to come back and do this?
Right?